Hey guys, we're back. We've been talking about the mitochondria. The mitochondria being the Ferrari engine that powers our cells and gives us the energy that we need to do the things we love to do. We've already spoken about food being part of the fuel source that fuels that mitochondria. But we talked about it only being 4 cylinders of fuel, and it's a 12-cylinder engine. So where does the other 8 cylinders get their power from? Let me give you a hint. Has anybody heard of photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is how a plant or tree gets its energy production. Now, if you think about it, a tree or a plant doesn't really need to eat, does it? The reason it doesn't need to eat is because it's planted firmly into the earth where it can absorb nutrients and water, and it spends its entire life under the sun. There's something called photon energy. That's where photosynthesis comes from. Basically, the plant, the tree, absorbs all of its energy from the sun in the form of photons. The photons enter the leaf, and in something called a chloroplast, it creates a carbohydrate, which is the food for the tree. Okay? So that is photosynthesis simplified. Believe it or not, the human body has a very similar process. And instead of being called photosynthesis, it's called photobiomodulation, which is basically a fancy term. If you break it down, photons of the sun, bio, absorbing into our biology and being modulated to our cell. So basically, wavelengths of light from the sun come into our solar panels, which are our skin, and they are absorbed into our blood. Basically, you've probably heard of hemoglobin, a red blood cell, and oxygen is carried with hemoglobin to give every cell in our body oxygen. Well, photon energy from the sun is also carried by hemoglobin to the cell. It is dropped off at the cell wall. It's absorbed into the cell, and the mitochondria takes this energy and converts it into an electron. Okay, an electron is a unit of power. It's a negatively charged ion, which then is the battery charger for those 8 cylinders. So there you go. We are solar powered. Well, now that we know we are 2/3 solar as far as our mitochondria go, how do we maximize those 8 cylinders of power? You know, a tree is outside all the time. It has access to that solar power 24/7, or at least when the sun is out. We, on the other hand, are living under tarps. We drive in cars that are covered with a tarp, unless we have a convertible. We work in buildings that are tarps. We wear tarps over our solar panels. Remember, it's our solar panels that absorb those photons of light from the sun that photobiomodulate, fancy word, to our mitochondria to get converted to that solar power. A couple of other areas that we can also activate and enhance our solar power is from the earth. The earth is magnetically charged. There's something called the Schumann resonance, which is a negative charge that when we are standing barefoot on the earth or lying on the ground, we are absorbing those ions through our skin and being shuttled right down to those mitochondria, again, to add to that power of those 8 cylinders. Also, running water gives off negative ions. So whether it's a fountain, a stream, or the ocean, that running water absolutely allows us to absorb those negative ions from it as well. So, hey, summer's here, and you know the best place to be, the beach. So the beach, why do we feel good at the beach? We all feel great at the beach because we've got the power of the sun hitting our solar panels, because typically at the beach you are able to expose your solar panels. You're walking barefoot in the sand typically, and even better if you're walking along the shoreline. So now you're able to absorb the negative ions that are given by the earth up through your feet. You're absorbing all of the negative ions of the moving water from the ocean, and again, you've got the you've got the photobiomodulation and absorption of all of those photons from the sun. So, you want to maximize your energy output, get to the beach this summer. Personally, we go once a week. We go every Saturday, and we just walk the shoreline and enjoy all the benefits that the beach has to offer. Well, there you have it. All of the ingredients to fine-tune that Ferrari engine, which is driving us. And remember, we don't just have one engine in each cell. We have up to 8,000 engines, okay, in certain cells. And we talked about the heart, the brain, and the retina of the eye as the most densely populated cells with those Ferrari engines. And what we need to probably cover in maybe the next video is some strategies to implement to make sure that we put premium fuel into that engine, and so that we can get the most out of it. So that's what we'll cover. I know this was a little bit longer than normal, but I want to make sure that we all understand, the fuel sources that power the engine first and foremost. So we'll cover that probably at the next video. Until then, remember, it's not how long you live, but how long can you live healthy.